What's up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? Tell me who are you, James?
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Welcome to the dive bar of the IWC. Welcome to Wrestling on the Rocks, episode 1. Again. Brr. With me today to break this shit down. Oh shit, here we go. It's Bishop. What's up, dude?
What's up, Muppet? What's up, Muppet, man?
Yeah, dude. I still got to get it down to there's a puppet shop in town, like a workshop, and you get like those little stems for his arms, so I can have him sit here and like actually just go, you know. Like,
whenever I hop on an episode 1 and you got your hand up a furry ass, I think it's gonna be a good show.
It's gonna go all right. You know, things are gonna be good. You just feel secure. You feel safe.
Nice
you know?
and warm.
Yeah. When producer lady walks in and I'm just sitting here, me and Marv scrolling through my phone. She rolls her eyes and walks us out. I'm like, go ahead, I got Marv. We don't need you. She's supposed to be working. I think she's eavesdropping. I hope Marv didn't hear her scream at him. Oh man, how you been, dude? It's been a while since we've had a drink, since we've had an episode 1.
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks, you know. 2 weeks later, 1 year older, you know what I mean? I took off last week to celebrate my birthday, and you took off last week because you said, fuck it.
Kinda. There's so much going on. I needed to get caught up. I was just being swamped and bombarded with these side projects that were just taking up a lot of time. And I knew we were going out of town for the weekend. A lot of times I spend most of my weekends on the computer doing the editing and stuff. And while I'm trying to manage time with producer lady as well. And so it's like managing all that. So this was one where I knew that just wasn't going to be an option. I was going to be out of town for the weekend. I wasn't going to have time to do that. So it was, all right, those couple hours a day for this show. I didn't even watch most of the product that week. I came back and I had to watch it later. Like, it just was those hours I needed to dedicate to getting caught up. As of now, I don't think I'm totally caught up. I'm not where I'd like to be. But I think we're close. So we thought we'd come back and have a drink with the boys. Bishop and Marv. What's that?
No, man, I'm happy to be back. Basically what you were just saying there is that, there comes a time when you got to prioritize and, making sure that you're not in the wrong turn of phrase, serving too many masters. You have to know where to dedicate your time properly. So taking a little time for yourself, reorganize, restructure, get the brainwave lengths, kind of moving in the right direction, free up the cloudiness and, kick ass.
And people can't even tell, but I'm using a whole different setup. I had to like reset up everything that we do here. So, and the idea was to set it up in such a way where it wouldn't be easy. Like you couldn't tell them doing it different. So, it was kind of a restructuring too, a little bit of a remodel, as it goes. We got Just in Time in the chat already. He says, cheers guys. And to Marv. Very nice.
What's up, dude?
Very nice. Cheers. But yeah,
Cheers,
man, it's been a
Justin.
crazy couple weeks too. All that stuff that was going on. And
yeah.
I mean, I don't want to. Well, let's start with what's in your glass. What are you drinking? What you got there?
So to get there, a little Jim Beam in a Jim Beam glass. A little JB for JB. Is how I decided to go today.
Actually, that's a good call. I'm
not going to do. Now, this is Jim Beam Black. It is a different bottle than when I did my first live stream and drank about, a half of the double size, so basically a fifth while I was on camera. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah. That was good. It was a good time. It was a long show.
That was.
And another thing.
So, but no, I mean, at this point, I think a solid cheers is in effect. So I went JB for JB today. Yeah,
I got a little mixed drink with some vodka, but for that news itself, I just poured a little Brothers Bond special cask neat. There's nothing like the bond of a brother, right?
Yeah, man.
It was it yesterday? Tuesday. It was 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Because I got the news while I was hanging with some friends and multitasking another task from the master's hands, as you said. And then I started getting messages. Oh my God, did you see this? And I saw someone say Jay Briscoe, and I went, Gerald Briscoe? I was like, that sucks. And they're like, it's not Gerald Briscoe. And I was like, what? That doesn't make sense. Like I just was confused.
Yeah.
And then it became very clear exactly who they were talking about, Jay Briscoe. And the news came out, and you read the article. Did you see the breakdown of what happened?
Yeah, I actually, because I'm local to where he is, I was trying to go through the local channels of finding out the real news, because I immediately had some dirt cheap bone to picks with how things were being reported. There was some things on. I mean, there was even one guy that put out there that news is coming in about his wife, and she wasn't even a part of the accident. This without going too far down the negative part. I did find the official Delaware State Police breakdown of the incident. Yeah. And it sucks. It sucks. He was driving his children to wherever it may be, and a car came into his lane.
It was on the way back from like a cheerleading thing for the girls.
Yeah.
He was just driving them back, and then a car coming the other way swerved over, and that was that. Sucks, dude. It sucks to it happened in front of his kids.
Yeah.
It sucks that it happened because what he's doing stuff with his family.
And the report too, I guess, because I didn't look into it further. I don't like to get there, but somebody took a supposed screenshot of his wife's Instagram saying that one child is okay and fighting for health, and the other one is not okay and fighting for the ability to feel their legs again.
Critical condition, I read.
Yeah, it's a very, very fucked up situation. As far as the details, that's all I read, and that's all I care to read. It's such a tragic circumstance that look, last Wednesday I turned 38. Yesterday his brother turned 38. He was 38. Like, this is.
I'm 38 now.
It's it's not easy, man. Like,
Yeah.
I what are you supposed to do? What are you fucking kids, man? Like yesterday we were kids, and
Yeah.
today we're on here acting like kids.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
opened a show with a puppet.
yeah, yeah. Like what
Yeah.
the fuck? What the fuck?
Yeah.
And we're idiots with microphones and laptops, and the IWC is the worst place in the fucking world, and everyone has an opinion of who Jay Briscoe was, and nobody fucking knew him. And then you see how everybody who fucking knew him fucking loved the guy.
Yeah.
And we've all said stupid shit. Again, all of us being 38, what did we say fucking 25 years ago as children growing up in this world in a not so socially conscious environment? That this guy was blacklisted supposedly for homophobic tweets so long ago that he's apologized. And Effie was even one who came out and said he was the sweetest person to him. And of course, you don't treat everyone like you treat one, but at the end of the day, this guy was a fucking human. And that video of him cheerleading with his daughter is just like, that's who he was.
Yeah.
No matter what. He wasn't a deathmatch wrestler or one of the best tag team wrestlers of all time. That's who he fucking was. He was the dad willing to be silly enough with his daughter because his ego is as big as his daughter's smile, man. That's who he was as a person. I didn't fucking know him. And it was funny because when I found out they were from Laurel, I was like, man, we played them in preseason basketball my senior year. Like, there's a chance I played basketball against the Briscoes. Like, that's fucking cool. Like, but
you probably did.
I might have if they played basketball. I don't know if they did because they were wrestling as well. So, same season. But it's like, to Justin's point, he said when Tony Khan tweeted it out, it hit like when Brody Lee passed. It is heartbreaking. It didn't hit me like it did Brody because I was a fan of him. I was a fan of Luke Harper. And I didn't see the Briscoes much. And it's just because I didn't go out of my way to do it. And I should have because they were special, especially to the wrestling community.
Yeah.
But my dream matches are always against the Usos. So until you wrestle the Usos, that's what I want to see. But yeah, it's a shame. And it sucks. It sucks because the community. I mean, another thing, again, being local, I saw that the school district, before we found out on Twitter from this, the school district canceled school for the next day and said to keep the Pugh family in your thoughts and prayers. They were beloved by the community that they lived in their entire life, the community they were raising their children in, and for all intents and purposes, I don't care what anybody wants to say to me. We lost a beautiful person on this earth, and it sucks.
Yeah. I also feel like as much as people want to say, oh, he was an amazing wrestler, best tag team, and that's all true. But like to your point, he was an amazing person who showed growth. He was a perfect example of human growth and change. And that's not easy to continue to be better every day, especially when you're a public figure that in the face of it, people are refusing to believe you. They're refusing to allow you to be better than you were yesterday. To them, you're only what you were in your worst moments. And to be able to stand up every day and say, I'm better now and will continue to be so and not fall back. He did a tweet a long time ago, more or less. I've seen it. It wasn't inflammatory. It was more of opinion kind of thing. I don't know how it even came up. It sounded like question and answer. It was so direct. I do not support same-sex marriage, he says. But he pulled back on that. He's like, you know what? That's just how I was raised in my church. It's what I believed growing up. And he goes, I see things different now. Like he changed. He wanted to be better. He said he wasn't going to teach his kids that same mentality. He didn't want it to go on. He knew that if it was in his head, it was in his head and his ability to not allow it out to his kids' heads. He wanted to raise his kids better than himself. How do you not look at that as change and growth? And how do you not reward that with, we can be better? It's like I've been saying about the IWC over and over. And I know sometimes we call it cancel culture. And I know that I've been personally maligned for calling it that and not just saying it's accountability culture, because all we want is accountability. And my response has always been, then where is the resolution? Right. Accountability has a resolution. You're accountable for what? And until what end? Like, where's redemption? And he's a perfect example of someone who's refused a redemption in the face of growth. And that sucks because it's his family who's going to hurt now because of all the potential financial setups he could have had for them that he was not afforded because of a dumb statement that he not only wished he didn't say, wished he didn't feel.
Yeah.
You know, and made sure he
Yeah.
never felt that way again. And that's huge. And
Yeah,
to
if
never
he had
just
full
say, you know, fuck
contrition
it.
of how he felt, he would teach it to his children.
Yeah.
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 I mean, that's the biggest part of growing up is, and I've been in therapy for a year now, and the biggest thing I'm trying to do is not imprint my learned behaviors on my son. Like that's exactly what he was doing, not imprinting his learned behaviors. He had no choice to learn his opinion of that time because it came from somewhere else. But he had the choice to not inflict that same opinion on his children. And to do that is fantastic. And not to keep talking about that particular aspect of him, but look, for someone who was out of wrestling for a very long time, for someone who only navigated to the WWE product, the Briscoes were always a thing. Mm-hmm. They were always a thing. And I didn't know until I got in the podcasting a couple years ago that they were from Delaware, which, you know, small town, I should know, but no, I didn't. And to know that, I mean, fucking Kevin Owens' tribute to Jay was beautiful and heart-wrenching. And Tommaso Ciampa, beautiful and heart-wrenching. And then countless others who I haven't read yet. But, you know, like you said, accountability without contrition or the ability for redemption, then you guys are just picking fights. One-sided keyboard warrior shit, and that's just bullshit.
Yeah, it's just mobs. But yeah, I just wanted to celebrate him as a person on top of him as a wrestler, because he also as a wrestler made you believe. He made me believe, like literally. He was one of the first matches on one of the first GCW shows I ever went to, and I remember going, "Oh, this is what GCW is. This is why people have a fervor for it. This is why they were able to sell out the Hammerstein. Like it all became so clear because of them." And I don't even mean that hyperbole. I was bought in by them. I was like, oh my God. There's only a few times I can think of seeing somebody live as the first time I've ever seen them in a match at all. And like feeling it and going like, whoa, like that was them, man.
Yeah. The one thing that made me not tune into the FTR trilogy, their promos in the barn were so, like, the fact that they kept going, this shit ain't fake, this is real. This shit ain't fake, this is real. It's like, listen, guys, you actually said it one too many times. It definitely feels fake.
Yeah.
So like
absolutely.
And Dax's post was very beautiful as well. The fact that he attributes, his now generational wealth to their trilogy on how much money they were able to make together off of that trilogy. Number one, confirmed. Yes, it was orchestrated and fake. Like, you guys tried a little too hard, but it's how much they cared, man. It's how much they cared. They've both been wrestling. The Briscoes both been wrestling for over 20 years. They basically are Ring of Honor. They're the reason why Ring of Honor stayed forever, because they stayed forever. They never left. They never once left. From pay-per-view 1 to pay-per-view end, they never once left. For them to continually be bought in with the passion that they brought to every promo, I mean, we all could wish that our wrestlers cared as much as they did.
Yeah. It was just saying it was a gut punch, and it really bothered me. I mean, not just because he died, but knowing what he was fighting through every day, like just the stupid IWC bullshit. Yeah. It made me. I hadn't been on Twitter in like 3 days. I didn't even want to log in to see. I haven't seen some of those tributes you had. I clicked on one link because someone said, "Look at the WWE's going hard right now on Jay." Not in a bad way, but like they were retweeting every one of their superstars who had something to say about Jay. And I scrolled that a minute and logged back out. But like, I haven't even been able to go through them all. Like, I haven't seen much of them. But it's there. There's just no way.
Yeah,
it's not like, and that's a bummer. That's what sucks. So tears in our beers. Oh, drink for dem boys.
Rest easy.
I don't know. I don't even know what his brother's going to look like on his own, or if he wants to.
Yeah, I thought about that too. And of course that's just being disconnected from the emotionality of it. I experienced my own little emotions when it came to it, and then I did think about those things. His brother was such a big part of the emphaticness behind their duo that but he wasn't the A. Jay was the A, and Mark bringing up the B to hammer it home. Does he have that desire?
Right.
What's that even going to feel like for him? Because he always chased his brother.
And they had their rivalry back and forth too. That was sick. Ended in the chicken coop. It was just. I wonder what's going on, and I don't mean from the super Mark wrestling fan standpoint of oh, are we going to see more matches? It's just I know what happened to me when I lost someone like a brother who worked in the same industry as me. We didn't even work together, and I know what that made me feel like going back to work, and why I don't work there now. I don't even work in that field because I always felt like that we were supposed to end up in the same company together. We always talked about it. We always applied to places. We were going to run a department together. That was it. We grew up together doing this stuff, and now we were both doing it. And when I lost him, I was like, what's the goal now? If the end goal was for us to be on top, so I just wonder what's next for him, and whatever it is, I'm sure he'll make the right choice. So,
yeah. And that's the only way to put it. I mean, it's the wrong words, but it's a him problem, it's his cross to bear. And to be honest, I think Mark knows that everyone's going to support it, no matter what it is. No matter what it is, he'll be welcomed with open arms, and he will be allowed to ride off with open arms for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's the tragedy is still underway. I mean, God forbid, with his children, anything happens. The fight for that family is so much bigger than even what we're talking about right now. That But those thoughts definitely crossed my mind. And I wanted, I'm already happy with the honoring that's been happened, or that's been happening, and furthermore, it's gonna continue to come, the honoring of this man, and rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Let's see. There was other news that we talked about before we went on. I know we talked a little bit about Mercedes promo that was spotty's long.
A decent way of putting it.
But was there anything else news-wise?
Honestly, and again, rest easy, Jay. The news of his passing has kind of just put a blanket over the landscape of what's been happening. That even if there was,
what we could talk about, because you want to talk about it for a minute, and this feeds in to his family legacy. You were watching the Young Rock this past week. So wrestling brings families together in multiple ways. This might be another
absolutely. Way. Yeah, the last episode of Young Rock, they had my favorite singles ladder match of all time explained. The Rock explained, him and Hunter at SummerSlam '98, and I've always loved that ladder match because it was really the beginning of Rock superstardom, and also an actual wrestling first plateau for Triple H, where that character got to be now a centerpiece by himself as the A side of these feuds. So IC title goes to Triple H, Rock moves on to the next level, but also now is, his full character. But the match itself was always about their particular battle. And it's kind of the last ladder match with 2 ladders, and that's it. Every other match after that has 150 fucking ladders. And it told a great story. So when The Rock was telling the story, and we watched Young Rock as a family because, it's The Rock, it brings families together. But my son was watching, and I go, Bud, that match right there is one of my favorite matches. So as soon as Young Rock goes off, and we watched it on Peacock, I just click, 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 click. I go to SummerSlam. I go, check this out. And he sees The Rock's entrance for the first time because we never really watched Rock matches together. It's just awesome. Just awesome. So, and as we're watching the match, he starts to see like where the reenactments are happening in the match, and he's getting excited. And then there's one point where he hits the rock bottom onto the ladder, and the three of us just like, oh, like we just kind of feel it, and the intensity of it. And there's moments within the show where Rock is pointing out the crowd reaction, and then when my son heard the crowd reaction, he's like, "Oh, Dad, that's what he was talking about. That's what he was talking about. Listen to him. I said, "That's what wrestling does, man. It gets you to just feel it, and it's self-explanatory. It's self-explanatory. As you watch it happening, it delivers the emotion to you. And then once the match was over, I said, "Do you want to see another really cool Rock match?" He goes, "Yeah." So I put on Austin Rock at 19.
Yeah.
That was fucking awesome. I love watching that match.
Dude, my brother asked me once, his wife said that she would watch a wrestling match. And he goes, "What's the match I should put on for her?" And I was like, Austin Rock 17 or 19. If I had to venture a guess for her to get a real good understanding of what it could be,
Right.
what it looks like at its best, where you're not just getting, because like, look, a lot of people might say Hogan Rock. It's not the same match as Austin Rock. Like,
and
Hogan
it's too
Rock,
slow for a non-believer.
Yeah. And you're kind of having to fill a lot of gaps.
Yeah.
Austin Rock, they're both two dudes on top doing top guy stuff. Like it was great. So yeah, I agree. That's a good pick.
Yeah.
Well, dude, let's get caught up a little bit.
Okay.
I've been gone for a bit. It's been episode 1 for a little while. Figure just getting started. Might as well start slow. See what's going on. If there's anything I'm missing or you wanted to get into, just.
Well, you mentioned a little bit that shitty Mercedes promo, or Banks Monè or whatever Monè she's calling herself.
She called herself Banks Monè way more than Mercedes Monè.
Absolutely. And all she needs to do now is call herself Sasha Monè, and we got the trifecta. Yeah. Look, New Japan put it on their YouTube, this promo. It is cutted and edited and twisted and turned and all this shit. And there's so many speaking errors that this is your opportunity to plant your flag. And that's what the promo sounded like it was supposed to be.
Yeah. Is
Mercedes planting her flag. And I listened to it, and we came on here talking about it. I think it might have been on episode 1. Like, what does this look like for her? What does this ceiling look like? What does the potential look like for her?
Yeah.
And I said, you got to get us to care. Like, show us why we should care. You have the opportunity to, this shit's in your hand. Do whatever you want to do. And I saw this promo and I go, okay, I'm good. Like, it doesn't hit. She has the opportunity to punch you in the face. And for the speaking errors that she had, and you have editing, and it wasn't live in the fucking ring, like, just do it over. Get it clean. Make it the best it can ever be, and just go fucking undeniable. And it just wasn't that.
No, and there was too many. If you flub a word here and there once, maybe twice, I go, well, yeah, I mean, especially if you're live in the ring. Yeah, it's live. What are you going to do? You flubbed. But when it's a pre-tape, you miss words.
What?
Grammar.
What?
Context.
What?
Start repeating yourself in a vague way, like trying to figure out your rambling. Like, I was like, scrap this 5-minute promo, sit down, cut a tight 3-minute that you know what you're going to say, and make us go, damn right, that's our Sasha Banks,
Right.
But there was just too many. The first one I heard, I was like, oh, that's a weird, all right, whatever. And then she does another mistake that's completely grammatically incorrect and not even correct noun. And I was like, oh, what? Okay. And then she just does another, and then another. And I was like, someone stop the tape. Just say, hey, we're going to have to redo this. I can't have you sounding like that. You're going up against my top star. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. And I'm even thinking to myself, I can't remember what wrestler it was, but there's been several wrestlers who have done their own vignettes and sent them in.
Yeah.
Like, sit down, iPhone this shit. Be an idiot with a laptop and a microphone and make this the best fucking promo you can. No, I'm not perfect at my job, but like, this is, I'll say it this way. Maybe I can say this in a better light. What Mercedes is doing right now has the chance to be the biggest thing in women's wrestling history.
Mm-hmm.
She literally can do what Cody did for the women. in which prove that you don't need the machine. You can use yourself, and you can sell yourself to the audience in every locker room you step into as a viable asset in the wrestling world. She has that opportunity.
Yeah.
And at first step, she fumbled.
Yeah. And then her second step.
And on the
because she fumbled on the debut too. Her promo there was a little weak, and her move wasn't done right. And then here's her, and then she does the afterwards conference where they're asking the questions. She fumbled there too. No one wanted to ask her any questions. She comes out and does a pre-tape one. She's fumbled there too. It's like, you've got to slow down, regroup, and get this done right, because like you said, this is big and we believe in you.
Yes, that's the other thing. We want, and this is why I got blocked by someone on Twitter for making the comment. We want you to be the GOAT. We want you to be the best of all time. I'm no one to me will ever be better than Becky. Like I said, she's the GOAT that climbs the Mount Rushmore, right? She's sitting on top of it.
Yeah, she's a mountain goat for sure.
But Sasha can beat her, because there's an athleticism within Sasha that exists above where Becky is. But Becky is so psychologically sound with her wrestling moves and her promos that this is Sasha's playground now. Go out there and do it. Mercedes, I apologize. This is Mercedes' playground. She literally gets to do whatever she wants without any constraints whatsoever. If she walks into New Japan and says, I want to do this promo, I want to do it this way, I don't need any feedback. Okay, here you go. Yeah. Or, nah, I don't want to, because she hasn't done anything in almost a year. It's right there. It's right there.
Yeah. And especially for somebody who's trying to entice Hollywood.
Right.
You know what I mean? From a second standpoint, you're trying to like tell Star Wars you should be back on there. You're trying to tell Marvel you should have a place there. And they're seeing you fumble like this and not even do a recut. Like, that was your audition tape. You send in an audition tape, what are you going to do?
And again, I meant to say it before too. She's more than allowed to make mistakes.
Yes.
She can botch a move during a wrestling match. She can flub lines in promos. When you have the opportunity of pre-tape, there is no excuse.
Yes.
When you're caught up live at Wrestle Kingdom and afterwards in the moment because you have the jitters, because you're generally excited, completely understand. Completely understand. No worries. Full on pass.
Yeah.
If you have a pre-tape match and you don't reshoot, if you have a pre-tape promo and you don't reshoot, that's a you problem. That is fully on you. And there is no excuse, especially for how many years in the business she is. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can't give that part a pass.
Yeah. That was the thing that was weirdest to me, was that was the one time where it's all like, this is the one thing that should have been perfect.
And the video has obvious cuts.
Yeah.
So you did some editing, but not. Yeah. What did they cut out?
Yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine to send in like a 20-minute promo and like, this is as tight as it gets?
Dude, and that promo is on the map globally.
Yeah. On a global. It's been globally It's been pitted on the map.
It's been pitted globally on the map globally.
On the global map. But dude, I want her to do so well. I was really trying to go to see her in San Jose. It's not going to happen, but I was really trying to, and I want this to work because this could be huge. But
like massive. Here's the thing too. IWC, we're not we don't understand contracts, and we have terrible wrestling takes.
Yep.
So combined, like, we're really not good at any of this stuff.
No idea.
But let's talk about pay scale, right? Like, John Cena can literally make $10 million a year in WWE based on men being a bigger draw than women and merchandise sales. It's just facts of how that business works. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mercedes can make $10 million this year by executing what she's doing. The amount, if this match comes off with Kyrie so well, the amount of posters and t-shirts with the poster card on it, like everything they can do that can come off of this, the WrestleCons that they can have afterwards for, as she said, the best women's match of all time.
Yeah.
This match has that opportunity because they have no constraints besides their own creativity. They're not going to be pit pit.
Yeah.
Pit with time limits. They're not going to be pit with wrestling constraints. They're going to be on American soil doing things that these women can. What hasn't Sasha done in WWE? And then you take the reins off onto what she wants to do outside of that. The match can be fucking epic. And Kyrie is a hell of an athlete. So everything's right there for them. And if they fumble, that's fine. Regroup, get it next time. But there's been no equity built right now to let me know that if they do fumble, it's going to get better.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's only so much that your current presentation being an echo of your last presentation can take you, like you got to be more than an echo. And so I think, I'm just want to turn that around. I just want this to go good.
Yeah.
Like if you got another thing to say, let's talk some Raw, Smackdown storylines, things going through. Since we've missed 2 weeks, we're not going to obviously cut down every single show and such. And I'm going to use this last week's as my anchor, and you're going to have to call back to the week before if you feel like there's a tie through.
That sounds good. We can do that.
Yeah. It did open up, I thought, interestingly enough, with Braun Strowman. Like, I'm not saying that the match Braun Strowman and Gunther wasn't the opening match, but like literally the opening of the show, you hear Braun, and they always try and put a big, oh shit, here we go moment to open the show. And I think it's very interesting that they still think Braun Strowman's that guy.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he's off TV this week and then comes back. Because they did the whole Green Bay thing with the shoes and the child, and they told that story. And that was really cool. So
that was cool.
I would think it had more to do with that than Braun Strowman being the draw. But I could be wrong. Because if they closed the show with that match, it would have been an awesome closer to the show. And you would still be able to tell the story of the shoes and Braun being from the area. So,
you think part of it was just because you usually have the most number? I mean, I guess nowadays it used to be reversed, I suppose, but the most number of eyes are right there on the top of the show, and you want to grab people by showing them a big monster and then saying, "Oh, also he's doing charity right now," so people can know.
I can see that. I don't think it's as nefarious as it might be sounding right now. But there's a chance. I mean, if it happens again and there's less of a reason, then I think we're definitely on to something. Maybe I do think it just might be victim of circumstance. Having the match being in Green Bay, having the shoes with the auction and all that stuff. It might be just a whole lot going on at once.
Yeah. And not to say that I don't like Strowman. I don't think he's that guy. And they probably also just trust him to do that. Oh yeah. It's it could be an easy pick for them,
Yeah.
The match itself, though, I mean, I liked it. Gunther's awesome. Strowman, it was difficult for the two of them, I think, to figure out how they're supposed to sell each other's power. And Gunther really understood how to sell Strowman as a big, powerful guy. And Strowman was having a tough time selling for Gunther because he's not really used to it. And he is bigger than Gunther. But Gunther's also been built like he's stronger than he even looks.
Yeah, I actually... and every week I'll do this if it happens. This is my match of the year so far. And because of that, though, I thought I honestly saw more out of Strowman than you did in the same context. I actually thought it was Strowman actually registering the pain. He's like, oh, fuck, that does hurt. Thinking that he's maybe acting more so indestructible than, you know what I mean? So, like, fuck, this guy does have chops that hurt, because he never no-sold the chops. Like, remember when he got the first one a couple weeks ago where he kind of no-sold it, and it was like, dude, that's Gunther chops. And then when he got the second one, he was like, oh, fuck, that did hurt, So the fact that he didn't no-sell it, it was like, it actually seemed more like he was trying to endure the pain as a tough guy than necessarily not knowing how to, sell it that way. That's kind of how I took it. Because I honestly, I thought they worked great together. The match was way better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. And I'm into that. That's a good concept for him. But yeah, the Intercontinental reign of Gunther continues. I love it, dude. I think Gunther's so good.
It's perfect too. It's perfect. We've talked about it several times that the IC title is kind of perfect for Miz because he can come out, talk his shit, and it's so important that all these guys want to beat him up. or it's perfect for someone like Dolph Ziggler because he can go out and put on so many great matches with so many different people. It's also kind of perfect for Gunther, like showing him how prestigious the title can be, how important his character is now because he holds this title with such a long history and high regard, and his wrestling acumen is top shelf. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, dude, it's an awesome presentation with him. I'm super into the whole Gunther thing, and obviously we have to build towards somebody else holding that title, but there's part of me that's kind of like, let Gunther be the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. Just let him, let that be the thing he wants. He wants to prove that title means something more than mid-card anything. You know what I mean? Like, you can talk about Miz and Dolph fighting about who's bringing prestige to the Intercontinental Championship, but the idea of a long reign with Gunther doesn't bring prestige in that way. It brings like a legitimacy to it in a way. Like, it brings a pride to it where it's not like I make this title relevant. He's like, this title can only be held by somebody of a certain standard. Like, that's a different thing. You know what I mean? Because at a certain point, he's trying to elevate the standard that makes that title. Who do you think we could use? I know we're not trying to fantasy book it, but I don't have anyone in mind that I think would be really cool to see take down Gunther.
No, I agree. And the one thing I was going to say before I say, it doesn't feel gratuitous either. It doesn't feel like he's being pushed down our throats. It doesn't feel like he's being overpresented. I think it's so matter of fact the way you just put it out. Like, the prestige, this title, this wrestler makes this thing exactly what we see. There's nothing more, there's nothing less. And that's to your point. Who do you? Because we talked about this back on episode 1. The guy who takes it off of him, we're talking like, well, yeah, like, fuck yeah, Sheamus, right? Sheamus can go against Roman tomorrow. Yeah. Oh, well, who's Sheamus with now? He's with Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre versus Gunther. Like, who's winning that match? Who do you think's winning that match, right? Gunther's so good that, like, even a McIntyre's not going to win. Hey, both of those guys are ready for Roman. Gunther is Roman. So it is the same conversation. It really is. Who actually could? And maybe it's a great starting point for a Braun Breaker to come up. You know? Maybe it is. I mean, fuck it. Maybe this is where Ciampa comes back. And Ciampa, he shows you how you defeat a guy like Gunther, even at a size like his. You know, if he came back and did that, like, they go on a trilogy run or a dual shot, you know, he loses the first one but wins the title at the next one kind of thing. That's kind of the only way, because you need someone who is, I mean, because we saw Ciampa do it. So he's capable of being on the promo side next to Imperium's values, and he's more than capable inside the ring of breaking down a guy like Gunther. We just haven't seen anyone else do it.
Didn't Gunther beat Ciampa with a chop? Wasn't the first time you won with a chop?
Yeah, and I hated it, and you explained to me why it was awesome, and he's been doing it ever since. Yeah,
fucking good. So good. I love that.
Yeah.
Justin Times got a Bishop style take here. Says the Intercontinental Championship has been treated fantastically with Gunther as champ. Just wish the United States Championship was getting the same treatment. I don't know how he thinks the U.S. Championship's not being elevated in the storyline with fucking Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley. You know what I mean? Like, their story revolves around them. I mean, the champion happens to be Theory, but it's not like Theory's a nobody schlub. Like, he's holding his own against those guys. Like, he's getting elevated, you know?
Well, that's the thing. So I get Justin's point, right? Because, you know, we speak the same language.
Terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the fact that the honor isn't there. But to Justin's point, what he's missing is that the circularity around the U.S. title has prestige. It's the U.S. without the U.S. title, and this was a take that I got completely wrong a month ago, because we thought, or when I came on here, we said, well, what if Bobby and Seth were going after the U.S. title and Theory and Dolph were going after number one contendership or whatever it was, that it felt like Theory having the title was doing less for him. Since that moment, since the triple threat, Theory has been able to put the U.S. title in front and grow his character behind it. He's becoming more than worthy to hold this title based on how confident he's become in his character and who he is. And he's another one, like Gunther said on SmackDown. If I want to, I go in the Rumble and I'm going to win and main event WrestleMania. Theory's not quite there, but you can see how his character is building to that moment where his confidence is going to go beyond the U.S. title.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it doesn't happen without the U.S. title.
That's true. Let's see. The Rey Mysterio thing happened here. I like Rey, dude. I know people give him a hard time for his talking. I don't think he talks that bad. I think he's fine. Like, yeah, he's not like cutting hard times, Dusty Rhodes promos and shit, but I believe what he's saying, the way he says it. I think it's good. He does a good job. He delivers the thing, and that's that. Like, I don't know what people want from him.
Well, he over accentuates his emotions. And my son.
You don't know anybody like that? Here in the Southwest, I know a lot of people like that.
It's a lot. It's definitely a lot. But I get it. My only problem was Karrion Kross.
What's wrong with Karrion Kross? Came out here and kicked the shit out of him. My problem was the failed card. The tarot card didn't light on fire, and they fucked up the spot.
Nice.
Did you see that?
I didn't pay attention to it. Like, I saw them pull the card out, but I didn't realize it was supposed to get on fire.
If you watch the shot, she's holding the card, and you can see her thumb. And coming up from her thumb is like a little black straw. And as they're zooming in on it, you see like one spark fly up and disappear.
Nice.
Just, and you go, and then like she's just holding it. And then like she kind of starts like looking back and forth like,
that's funny.
Fuck. And then they just put it down. And they go, well, put the card down. It was supposed to be an ominous thing where they're choking him out, and then the tarot card sets on fire. Here's your fate, all that shit. But instead it was, I'm holding my card. A little spark came from nothing. It was funny.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, that's rough.
I'm completely over Karrion Kross. People wanted to complain about the gladiator gear before he got let go. And then when he came back with the hair and he still had the same character, time is up, TikTok, all that stuff. It just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. It never made sense to me in NXT, but it played well because it was a big guy in a small arena. It played better because all that smoke can fill the entire arena. But when the smoke's building the stage and it's going up and it's not coming to the ring and he's not going through the way they were before, like it's just the presentation's off and he's wearing a leather jacket and he's got his hair slicked back and next thing you know, he's going to be singing Grease Lightning. Like, it's just not a thing, man. Like, Karrion Kross is okay in the ring. I hate his fucking elbow. It's one of the dumbest fucking moves ever. I just, because, Seth Rollins does it as a transition. It's not, it doesn't play. I don't know. Something's got to change. But he does nothing for me. And if you're going to tell me, this is like Drew McIntyre swinging a sword, right? He's going to come out 6'4" and then come out and play with Rey Mysterio who's 5 foot. Okay, you fucking bully. Like,
well, for one, he's supposed to be a bully, and Drew McIntyre is not supposed to be a bully. For two, it's clear and evident to everyone listening, both of them. You're jealous of his hair, dude. Super jealous of his hair. You hate him because you're bald, and he's got glorious L'Oreal sponsored hair, probably insured like J-Lo's butt.
So, two things. Number one, he used to shave his head on purpose.
Yeah.
Because one, he's an asshole, or A, he's an asshole, and B, he wanted to be like me. Two, I spent serious money trying to laser hair my head because I don't want hair anymore. So I am not jealous of any strands of hair.
Super jealous because he was also shaving his head because his thought was, what kind of psychopath would shave his head when accepted for if he only cared about killing? Like, that was the idea of the Killer Cross being bald, was that he couldn't be bothered with hair because he's a psychopath. So only a psychopath would purposefully get rid of all of their hair.
I'll own it. Let's go.
All right, cool.
Fucking stab people in the neck if I need to.
Justin says Cross needs some intensity because his offense looks really weak most of the time. I wonder, this is a pretty common thing though. We've talked about it before, episode 1. People coming from NXT with all the other guys that would break their jaws. Remember that just slew of injuries over and over again with all these top guys, and we loved those matches.
O'Reilly and
so
Finn and all that. Yeah.
Riley, Finn, Cross. I mean, even Adam Cole was having some of them. As much as I don't like him, he was in hard hitting matches at the time. And then they come to the main roster and everything looks soft. And I wonder if it has a little bit to do with you're playing with different people who maybe don't want the same thing. You know what I mean? Like O'Reilly's going to let you break his jaw for the sake of the match.
Tell
Rey
that to the
Mysterio's
Samoans. You know what I mean? Tell that to the Bloodline. They don't seem like they're putting opponents in danger nor looking weak. You know, Solo looks fucking amazing.
You mean the 20-year-old veterans in the ring with people who are trying to come on the come up because they were already on top?
Solo,
you're talking about a dude trying to come on top.
No, I was actually, I don't care where the dude is when he comes, but top. Solo is like 5 years old and fucking amazing. Like he's my male wrestler of the year right now.
Yeah, and he came in on top. And he started training when he was like 2.
That's not Karrion Kross's fault that he's not Samoan. Get better.
So why are you saying better? The problem? I'm saying he has to fight his way up the card. The Bloodline is on top of the card, and people are trying to get to them. So if they're going to punch you in the mouth, you just say, "Okay, I'm going to take a punch." Cross has to get Rey Mysterio to go back after the match and say he's good, he's safe. You know what I mean? And not just Cross, but all these other guys. A lot of people end up with these real soft matches when they first come in because I think they're worried about upsetting the veteran talent, about being the one that Dolph goes back to Gorilla and says, dude wouldn't lay off me. Like he's not listening. He's not coachable. Like they don't want that kind of thing. So they're trying to like take it easy and work their way back up. Or like it happens so many times from NXT to the main roster. He might be a victim of that too. I don't know. And I'm not saying that Ray's the problem at all, but obviously, but it could just be his own mentality. I have to do this because I don't want that to happen versus Ray saying, hey, take it easy on me,
No, I mean, I can see that, but even what would they have? A fucking bull rope match or some shit? The strap match that I purposely walked around the arena for so I didn't have to watch that load of shit. Because even that match, they had a strap match, him and McIntyre. That's the one where you're supposed to prove yourself, right? I mean, when I watched that back on Peacock, I go, okay. Like, I don't know. I got a Cross thing, I guess. I don't know. But I also got a McIntyre thing where I don't think either one of them are worth that,
Yeah. Let's see. Backstage, Liv Morgan slapped Raquel Rodriguez in the face. What do you think about the Liv Morgan thing? I'm starting to hear scuttlebutt.
Yeah, I mean, so what happened? The week before, she declared for number 1 in the Rumble. She wants to go in and whip everyone's ass. I think what Liv is doing is worth Liv doing.
Yeah.
And us as fans should probably just stop. Because leading up to the title, Liv could do no wrong, right? And then, especially when she got Money in the Bank, right? Liv in the Bank was supposed to be something a year ago. She got it this year. We all fucking love it. She wins the title. It all goes downhill. Now that she's trying to reinvent herself for herself, go along for the fucking ride. And her wanting to go number 1 in the Rumble because she loves wrestling and just wants to beat people up. They're fucking right. Like when she did the thing with Raquel. I got my palm read.
Yeah, that was funny.
But I thought the match was solid. I thought her and Raquel did a decent job. So just keep watching Liv. That's the whole point.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. And I'm always kind of like amazed at the amount of people who do. Like that they just have these big issues and, oh, what's this? And why is she doing this? And I just feel like that it's so much simpler than they're trying to make it. People are trying to overcomplicate it to such a point that they stop just being on the ride, because this is one of those transitions that they don't have a spot on top. Not everyone can be on top all the time. So Absolutely. She has to, like, this feels like one of the Seth Rollins runs where we're just all like, hey, it's crazy he's in the mid card, right? Like it feels like a Seth Rollins versus Cesaro feud while Roman's going against KO or some shit, where you go like, how insane is this that's happening in the middle? But you'll look back on it and go, oh my God, those matches were incredible. This is a transition for Liv that's going to take some time to make sure that she's A, not forgotten, 2, characters completely fleshed out, and 3, ready when they're ready for her.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And that also as fans, Liv isn't ours anymore. And I'm speaking as a whole, right? Because I'm still a fan the way I was through the whole. Like I didn't give up on her when she was having the issues with Ronda and stuff, right? The fact that it never really clicked. But most of the fans did. The fact that they rebelled so much at her title reign, sorry guys, that's you giving her back. She's now going to do whatever the fuck she wants to do, and it doesn't matter to you anymore. Go fuck yourself. Like, listen to it, feel it, watch it, all that shit, go for it, but you no longer have a right to an opinion because when you got what you wanted, you gave it back. And the fact that you gave it back without supporting her in a way to where she can come out of the Ronda feud bigger and better, she now has to reinvent it to a way that needs to catch on. To Justin's point, how she's inconsistent by being crazy one week and then, regular Live afterwards. Like, and then back to crazy.
I haven't seen that once.
Well,
I haven't seen her not be crazy since Extreme Rules. Now, what level of crazy is going to be determined by that moment?
It's
but I
slowed
haven't
down
seen
a bit
one
during
thing.
the holidays, but it's never not like masochistic. Like she wants to get beat up,
Yeah. There's different levels of it. You can't just have the same exact thing every time. She's adding layers to the character. Like, I didn't for one second think like, oh, she's back to the old Liv. You go, oh, she's like trying to be good for a minute. You know what I mean? But can't. You know what I mean? Like, I never once thought
I
it was
agree.
inconsistent.
I agree. It's that, like, that particular take, and I get Justin's point too, because I know he's a big fan of women's wrestling like we are.
Yeah.
We would prefer see something that's really consistent, really strong, really after it. But even me, like, I don't have an opinion. I'm not allowed to comment on her character anymore because of what everyone else did. Like, you guys took it away from yourselves by pushing her away. Who she was when she won the title is who we wanted her to be. That's who we wanted. We wanted Liv from Jersey to get the title to be our champion, and she was. And then you all go, nah. It's like, that's on you now. So now Liv's going to do whatever she needs to do.
Yeah. So now we get crazy Liv.
Like Nikki Ash. Nikki finally wins the title as ASH. And then what? 2 weeks later, the fans are just like, all right, well, it's just Nikki with the title. Like, that wasn't fair to her.
No. Yeah.
And she earned it. She earned it after, Sam Roberts making the wrong opinion on the costume, and she really gave her all in every fucking promo. And then she gets the title, and it's like, well, I guess we're kind of like Nikki still, like, but it's not the Nikki we wanted all along. It's just 2 years later, she's finally getting her shit back together. How fucked up is that?
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't think that consistency is what the fans want in this regard either, because the other thing that a fan would say immediately is if she was the same crazy every week is this is getting stale. This is getting old. So what? She's just crazy all the time. So she has to show variation. She has.
But why
to
is she crazy? She's not going for the title. She just wants to beat people up for no reason. This is stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know anybody who wants to beat people up for no reason? I want to beat you up for no reason.
It's fucked up, man. There's got to be reasons.
I mean, I've got a list.
There's a couple of hours on here.
Yeah. There's a few episodes you can dig up.
It's gonna be hard to find though, because it's probably in episode 1.
Yeah, look through episode 1. I just don't see the criticism, but I agree with you that, like, there's also a point where it's like, okay, you turned your back on her. She's got to rebuild herself, and she's got to do it in a way that doesn't mean anything. Like, doesn't have to matter to you. It has to matter to everyone else.
Right.
Tegan Knox versus Xia Li. I liked it. I really like seeing Xia Li at all, and I was happy that Xia Li looked pretty strong. I just think I'm just still not on board with Xia Li just being their go-to jobber for everyone's returns. Like, that's the only time we see Xia Li.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate too, because my notes were no mention of the sneak attack, and Tegan won.
Yeah, and we still never came back to Xia Li being challenged by Emma.
Right.
That never came back. And I was even going to bring it up, and then it finally happened. I think it happened before I think it was the week before this. They finally paid off the Scarlett and Emma back. Because that was one too where I was like, God, that was like a month ago. Are they going to do anything about that? And then they had the match, and it was match that we had, and
and I had a little bit on that match too, and because the crowd didn't like it
Yeah.
at all. And I'll say this. I didn't like it much either, but I appreciated the girls had a really good chance. And I say girls just as a perspective. Sorry. The women had a really good chance to do their thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Display of offense, display of defense, display of offense, display of defense. The guys get back and do their thing. And they both had like a pretty cool move each. Was there cohesiveness? Not really. Was there continuity? It was tough. Was it solid? Yeah, you can see how they both know how to wrestle. Is it what we're used to? Is it what we expect? No, it wasn't. But it was cool that they had the opportunity. But to what we've said for, probably a year or so now, we got to feel something, man. We can see great wrestling all we want. And when there's no feeling and not great wrestling, it's really tough.
Yeah. I agree. Now, here's the other weird bit is you get into the Bray Wyatt stuff. So let's talk about Bray Wyatt on a whole. We've had a couple weeks of promos. We've had some stuff with Alexa. I know it's a different show. But I just kind of want to talk about all of this Boy Howdy, Alexa, Bray, LA Knight, Pitch Black, Soda. As much as I feel like certain parts come together, there's also so many stuff that's just seems so disjointed, and I can't tell how much of it's by design. My hunch is that this Mountain Dew, Pepsi Cola, Pitch Black, Code Red match is gonna be the thing that kills this or gives it purpose.
Circle back to the zombie match. I think this match is circumstantial. The theme of the match is circumstantial because this is who it fits best. You know what I mean? I think that they weren't gearing up for a Pitch Black match. I think that this feud is what fits this promotion best. The same way that the zombie match fit Priest and Miz at the time. There was no other match that could be a lumberjack match. Let's put Priest and Miz there. You know what I mean? There's no other match that could be a Pitch Black match. Let's have Bray Wyatt do it. And I feel like they're forced to be in this match. I don't think they were building towards this.
Do you think it's also possible they knew that Mountain Dew, Pepsi Cola, Code Red, Grape Splash was going to be sponsoring a match called Pitch Black, and they started earlier with Bray to do certain things to get there? Hey, Bray, we got to do this match, and there's really no person we think can put together a match in the dark except your character that's constantly in the fucking dark. And he's all I could do a bunch of dark shit without lights, and we could start there. Okay,
right.
Let's start with no lights.
Yeah, I mean, when you see what he's doing with Alexa and how that's so much bigger than the Pitch Black match, there is a chance that they go, hey, Bray, we want you to do a Pitch Black match. Who do you want? Or give me LA Knight. That guy can talk, and we'll figure it out. So there's a chance, because, LA Knight has nothing to do with what's going to happen with Alexa and all that stuff. I can't see that being any part of what, and that I keep mentioning the Alexa stuff because that's after this, right? This is where Bray's trajectory is taking him. So, I loved LA Knight's commercial promo that's been circling around on Twitter. I hated his promo in ring. Not this Smackdown, the one before that. It was way too cut and paste LA Knight. Let me talk to you. Ending with a he hit every fucking I'm a pro wrestler note. And I'm like, dude, come on, man. I get it. I grew up there too. That was my favorite time too. But also and then Bray Wyatt comes out this week and he does something very similar and goes very formulaic and basically breaks down every wall of his character to explain who he is to the masses because of this Pitch Black match. I was like, fuck, man, that was harsh. Because to call himself Uncle Howdy, to call himself the Eater of Worlds, he goes, this is every character I've ever been ever. That's basically what he said. and I'm
They're
all
all
of
part of
these
me.
things. And who are you? Like, well, now you like took a lot of mystery out. And I know we came on here and talked about, who's actually going to be in the mask and who's going to be this guy and that stuff. And we theorize on it. And we kind of take like these teeny guesses, but there's people out there actually trying to guess, like, if this is going to be a stable. Digi that came on here and said he thinks it's this whole Wyndham 6 thing, which it's an idea, it's a theory, but there's people really out there guessing. I'm not necessarily guessing that way. I do want to go along for the ride and see what happens. And Bray's like, nah, man, you don't have to go on a ride no more. I'm everything. It's like, well, all right. Well,
Yeah.
I guess I'll watch the rest of SmackDown after this. I don't know. It was very deflating.
Yeah, and I also still don't think that there's an unveiling to be had with Boy Howdy. I think that the same way that, Isaac Yankem played Kane was never revealed to be the Isaac Yankem of old. You know what I mean? Like, I think
oh my God, that's Isaac Yankem under that mask. Yeah.
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 I think that, yes, yeah, absolutely, it's Bo Dallas. There's no doubt in my mind that's not Bo Dallas doing that stuff. But there's also no doubt in my mind that it's nothing to do with Bo Dallas.
Right.
It's Boy Howdy. This is the character Boy Howdy. And it just so happens that they didn't want to hire somebody else. That's the guy they wanted to hire to do it. Like, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, people keep talking about like it's going to be an unveiling. Look, it's going to be him. Look, it's going to be him. No. We know it's him. But it doesn't matter that it's him. Like,
right.
if that's what you're trying to dig up, like the original guys at the Extreme Rules. Who's in that? Who's in that? There was part of me. It's like, yeah, it'd be kind of cool to know who dressed up as what. That'd be cool.
Yeah, one looked like Grayson Waller. The other one looked like Joe Gacy. Yeah.
Yeah, but at no point was it all like, well, they're gonna play those, and then that's gonna be unveiled lately.
Right.
No, that was a body that fit the costume. Like,
that was definitely Grayson Waller in the Buzzard.
Yeah.
Look just like him. And he wears those shirts all the time.
Yeah, it's the shirt. It has to be. And then they're going to unveil that it's him the whole time.
Right.
And he's going to go back and forth. He's going to be Waller and a Buzzard. And he's going to wrestle sometimes as a bird. Sometimes. In a cage match. A bird cage match.
He's going to do the Mrs. Doubtfire thing and then all suddenly show up on NXT wearing a Buzzard hat but no shirt and his basketball shorts. It's like, wait, man. Like, oh, fuck. I guess I'm both.
Yeah. But yeah, that's not what's going on. So it is weird to me that that's like a section of the IWC is this hunt to figure out who's really Boy Howdy Boy. And I'm like, it's fucking doesn't matter.
Yeah,
doesn't matter. It's Bo Dallas. That's it, and that's fine because it's not Bo Dallas. Howdy Boy Bo leaves. Fucking stupid. I don't know. I'm into it. I can't get enough Bray and LA Knight on TV in general, but yeah, there's stuff about this that's a little something. And what do you think about the Alexa stuff? I
love it.
My issue, I love the new look of Howdy Boy. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
And I love that they're functional.
Yeah.
The last thing was such a weird fucking just a walking fleshlight. But
what's wrong with that?
Yeah. But this one,
never
like,
walked into a fleshlight.
Yeah, you're just not hanging out in there. Take your time, bro.
Sorry.
But yeah, it's like him just standing there with all the production behind him every time in these other different places, like I'm into the sort of supernatural stuff to a degree. It doesn't bother me most of the time, but there are times like when she fought off with Bianca into the crowd.
Yeah.
And then he happened to appear right in that one walkway with the light behind him and the fog rolling and the camera catches him and he's doing the hand and the camera keeps moving trying to keep him there, but he's also not doing anything.
Right.
She doesn't like look at him. You know what I mean? Like we all see him and he's lit up by a spotlight.
Yeah.
And you're not looking at him. Like there's just these little parts that like are a little nonsensical without context.
Yeah, I get it too, because I mean she owned it, right? She called herself the face of evil. And that was the irony for me this time, or the whatever you want to call it, the right adjective is. That she's fully compelled and content into what Howdy has for her. But even he checked her on the video camera. That's right, on the jumbotron. He checked her when she said she was the face of evil and she feels comfortable or whatever it was. He's like, "Oh, you feel that way? You feel that way?" You know, and they did that whole thing. So I thought that was cool. Where, okay, you have ownership, haha, you don't, right? Just when you think you do, you don't. My issue is to what I think you were alluding to. There's no interaction.
Yeah.
She was stone-faced by these masks in the crowd, right? She saw these twice and she got stuck. Bianca was stuck by Uncle Howdy. What is not drawing Alexa to Uncle Howdy? Like, remember when this shit first happened with the Fiend 2 years ago? And I fucking every step of the way I was all in because all of a sudden, boom, Alexa would like look up at the lights and get lost in what was happening. Yeah. And then the following week, she'd have one dread like the Fiend did. And then the next week, another piece of her hair would be dreaded up a little bit. And we saw the progression of the continued possession of this Fiend energy to what it eventually blossomed into. Not having that continuity in the presence of Uncle Howdy, I do think is a detriment to the storytelling.
Yeah. And like you said, she's staring at what's apparently a fan in a mask. But then the real Uncle Howdy shows up,
right?
And she doesn't pay him no mind. It's just, there's just little things that aren't quite connecting that I don't think are. I don't think that they're being neglected. I think that the detail is that way for a reason. But I can't make sense of it. You know what I mean? And so it's put me in a weird spot watching it where I'm like, I don't hate it, but I don't know what's happening. And it's not like we get much more than a minute or two a week on it, you know?
Well, that's the thing. If not now, then when? And if when, then why? Like, if you're not going to do it now and you do it in 3 weeks from now, well, why did you wait 3 weeks? You know?
Yeah.
So maybe that is part of what we were talking about earlier. Maybe that they have to get through Pitch Black to let the rest unfold. Pitch Black is actually getting in the way of what they wanted to tell. There's a chance. There's a chance.
It could be stretching it out. Let's keep it moving. Main event: Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, match of the year, no doubt.
Almost. And then the finish.
Yeah, finish was
really
great.
Bummed me out. Really bummed me out.
Yeah, you can't have a win every time. Because here's what made the finish good: the struggle on Sammy's face when he saw the finish.
I know.
The character work done in the moment of the fuck finish. It wasn't just like, yeah, we're a gang, we're beating him up. It was, guys, I had this. Like, and then almost being dragged to celebrate and just the confliction on him where now Sammy, not only was he put in a position where he had to beat the shit out of his best friend, but he was really close to putting it away. He was going to do it. And he doesn't have a lot of wins over KO. But he was fighting for the tribal chief with all he had and was doing it. And he was there and right on the cusp of it. That's when the bloodline comes in and takes that all away and undermines everything he did. And so now Sammy's conflicted with the sacrifice of not just the match, but of his friend. Like, he can say all he wants. He doesn't give a shit about Kevin Owens anymore, but there's history there. And he sacrificed that history and knew he was doing it because he had to do that thing for Roman Reigns. And that was taken away. And so it was, why are we doing this? We could have just beat him up. So I didn't have to go that far, you know?
This is where I miss Pat McAfee, because he would have said all of that. He would have allowed me to not get lost in the fantastic wrestling match we had. That's what happened. I got lost in the action. Like, I'm contradicting myself, right? Like, we can watch great wrestling at any time. Give me a story. This match was about the story, but the wrestling was fucking flawless. And I got so caught up in how awesome the fucking match was that I wanted it to be a great ending to a great wrestling match. And that was the problem I ended up having with it. But I can't disagree with you whatsoever, because that's what Sammy in the Bloodline is. It's all meta. It has nothing to do with wrestling. No. It has nothing to do with in-ring. And he is one of the best. He always has been. So, yeah, I can definitely agree with you on that it being the mentality that Sammy was, for terminology's sake, wrestling with, that made the match for sure, especially since he was on such a high of the actual performance. But dude, I was so lost in the wrestling action that I was fucking bummed.
Dude, I'm sure you made the same face Sammy made. And that's what got me is that as soon as they came in, I was like, what? And then it cuts to Sammy, who's even more distraught than I am. I'm all like, fuck, they ruined the finish. And he's like, fuck, they made this meaningless. Like the look that he was able to put across his face was amazing. And the way that they're all like, come on, dude, let's celebrate. And he just is doing it
like
and looking
3 minutes long. Yeah.
He
let it sink in. Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, that's what made it match of the year candidate, was because it wasn't just a really good match. It was a really good match that had so much story and so much emotion beginning to end, because we're also talking about a 20-year investment to get here.
Yeah. That's fair.
You know, I don't know. I like them. What are you going to do? Let's see. Let's talk Raw. Was there anything else on SmackDown?
Yeah, I just want to revisit some things from the week before. I don't know if you got to catch the Lacey Evans promo package. She introduced the Cobra Clutch.
I did see that.
It was one of the better promo packages. It's something that we could have gotten to without the obstacle course stuff. But I get it, because they alluded to her Marine Corps training and stuff like that. But that basically gets rid of the Sassy Southern Belle altogether, right? Like, no more women's right. This is the Cobra Clutch time. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Where did you hear that before?
What?
The idea of giving her the Cobra Clutch?
Probably on episode 1.
It was on episode 1. I said it. I said, why isn't she Sergeant Slaughter? Give her the Cobra Clutch. Do something that's not just a sucker punch. You know, like, do the whole thing. I said it like 2 years ago, dude. That's how long Bruce Pritchard's been listening to our show.
Hey. Put a T in your cup, not in his name. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll teabag that cup.
Did you see Kofi versus Santos from the week before?
Yeah.
Okay.
They work great together.
Yeah.
But also, what are we doing?
Well, so this was the beginning of what's happened over the last 4 shows, because I had to catch up on all 4 on the same day. And it was the beginning of telling that Royal Rumble story. Like, they talk shit, wait until I see you in the Rumble, and then they kept going over the top rope. So when a lot of these matches happened over the next 4 shows, it was, they would have been eliminated in the Royal Rumble. But there's kind of these cheeky ways of getting there. It's not just the same gratuitous ways of getting people over the top rope. So, but this was kind of the first match that really did that. And the shit talking kind of back and forth between like LDF and Kofi, it was pretty cool.
Every year they do that for a couple weeks before the Rumble. If this was the Rumble, they'd be eliminated.
Yeah.
Not in this match, because those aren't the rules. And like they're just feeding the audience and new audience and reminding people to get excited for when you see someone go over the top.
But they're allowing the wrestlers to do that too, though. You know what I mean? Like, they're allowing the wrestlers to kind of have that interaction with each other, not just these two guys, they do this and that, the whole JR style of it. So and then there was a couple other things. Ricochet versus Top Dollar, which I was surprised for all the shit talking they've been doing. It just went like that. Yeah. Yeah. And then the Charlotte promo. Did you happen to catch that?
The week before? Where she was trying to babyface all hard?
And she said that, for one, I said she was pandering and dumb, and she has nothing, because she said if she's about anything, she's about passion, consistency, dedication, and not being complacent. That's why we all respect her. Those are the 4 things that we constantly say she does not have. Yeah. She is consistently the same character. Therefore, when she has that consistency of being the same character, she's completely complacent. Yes. The passion never shows through because she's constantly not uplifting the division. Yeah. And she's literally only dedicated to being on TV with the title. Yeah. I have no problem.
She's consistent in is her sense of self and ego.
Yeah. Like I just told you how I got worked by Sammy and KO, right? They brought me in emotionally in the match. I have no problem getting worked. Charlotte is not working me. The WWE is not working me. on my dislike for her. This isn't a Roman situation where she's presented as a top babyface just so people can treat her like a heel. This is this consistency presentation of Charlotte as champion without the backstory on why she has earned the championship.
Yeah.
One of my problems with Muhammad Ali as the greatest fighter of all time, number one, I haven't seen him, but he called himself the greatest before he was deemed the greatest. Well, now I'm already knocking you down. Let me watch. Okay, I've seen more fighters do impressive things. This is the Charlotte complex. They said she's the greatest talent, the greatest athlete, all this shit before her first championship. And then her first title run was all Ric Flair shit. And how many times has she won a championship without winning another match first?
Mm-hmm.
Like, she just lost her last match before she came back. She lost the title. She came back. She won the title.
Yeah.
Like, Bianca loses in 26 seconds, spends 8 months rebuilding her character to win the title, to then take it into SummerSlam the full calendar year later to prove that she can do things title and beyond. We see depth. We see growth. Becky does it all the time. Liv's doing it right now. Why is it that Charlotte's only place in WWE is with the title when no one comes out of that stronger or better? And the only one who's benefited from beating Charlotte is Carmella. Why is that? Because she cashed in Money in the Bank and moved on.
Yeah.
There wasn't a feud. It's cash in and move on.
Yeah. And just brag about it.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the matches that took Muhammad Ali to the Golden Gloves at such a young age, that's a good defining thing. The I Shook Up the World against Sonny Liston was a lot as though debuting Austin Theory would have removed the titles off of Roman Reigns in the first match. It was that shocking and that dominant of a young man, showing that he was going to outbox who was the most dominant boxer at the time. His stuff with Frazier solidified a lot of that history as well. I'll tell you, there's a lot to Ali up until the post-return, before the return, pre-return, when he gets his boxing license taken away because of the draft. When he came back, it was never the same. He lost a lot of stuff and everything was coming on. But that first run, he was the greatest for a lot of reasons. And one of the reasons he was the greatest wasn't necessarily because of the match. Watch him on the Dick Cavett show. One of the reasons he was the greatest of all time is because they never sold so many tickets to a match before.
Right.
He was selling out. He was Jerry Lawler, man. You know what I mean?
Well, that's, I get that too. And I've also recognized a lot of his greatness as well. I also have that complex of, being told one thing and wanting to prove you wrong. Yeah. It's a butch
I have a Muhammad Ali tattoo on my leg, and it's the only one my grandpa ever talked to me about. He didn't talk to me about any of my tattoos, and I got a bunch. And he looked at it and he just goes, "Why would you put a draft Dodgers face on your body?" I was like, context. There was a reason. But my grandfather was a very proud vet, retired in the Army, was drafted and never left. And he had a lot of reasons to feel pride in a lot of that. So to him, he was a turncoat. And I was like, look, I get you. I hear you.
Right.
You guys were in two different worlds at that time. So
in many different ways.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I was kind of skipping over the Charlotte stuff is just because when I saw it, I was like, this is fucking bogus and sucks. And I don't buy her as babyface whatsoever. She comes off so pompous and delusional, even when she's trying to be, quote, honest and vulnerable. Like, I don't get that vibe from her. I get the I'm Charlotte Flair. You're welcome. You know what I mean? Like,
did you see the walkover clothesline she did?
On who?
Onto Sonya. She had a match with Sonya after the promo.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I watched part of it and then just said, fuck this. Like,
so it's basically a front-facing cartwheel is what a walkover is.
Oh, yeah. That thing. Oh, it's fucking
so
awful.
she does this, and this is again, and call me whatever the fuck you want when it comes to Charlotte. I really don't care. Take this sentence. The expectation Charlotte has for anyone to wait and sell that move she tried to do, this walkover clothesline, the patience and timing her opponent needs to have to sell that for her is something she never, ever, ever, ever gives to her opponents.
No.
Charlotte's defensive timing in the match is fucking horrific, and one of the biggest reasons why I don't like her. How many times do we see her do this? Just for an arm drag, like she's trying to fucking double dutch, just to wait for the arm drag to happen, because her timing is awful. To do a walkover clothesline, so somebody has to wait for you to do a front-facing cartwheel to get into a clothesline to sell for you? Are you fucking kidding me?
That has a full stop of your momentum. You're doing it for no other reason than to say, look, I can do a cartwheel. Look at me.
And not only that, she's so fucking tall, to your point. Her opponent has to stop so she can lower her level after she gets the full turn over forward. Because she can't clothesline straight when she gets, nobody's her height. So she has to stop, see where they are, and go lower. Come on, man. It's
a full stop. There's no momentum.
Yeah, how can you ask that of your opponents when you do not give yourself the same way? It's fucking bullshit, man.
Yeah.
The arrogance.
Not in on it at all. The only thing that I want out of this Charlotte run, and it's just because I'm a selfish mark, the only thing I can think of that would make it all like, this is cool, is if we get Liv winning the Rumble and taking that title off of Charlotte at Mania in a really big moment. And none of that has anything to do with me wanting to see a single second of Charlotte in bell to bell. All I want is to see the moment at the end where she's holding it up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even care if it's a finger poke of doom.
Right.
Just so Liv can have that win over Charlotte at a Mania, I think would be cool. But outside of that, I don't see anything coming out of this run that's going to endear me, win me over, or excite me in any way.
No, I absolutely agree. And honestly, as soon as you said that, I was like, I don't trust Charlotte with that match. I don't trust that match to look good at all. I don't want to see that.
It'll be a trash match. It's the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we move on.
No, I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's all I had for the last two SmackDowns. But I thought those were important to talk about, especially the Lacey Evans thing. I think we're growing into that point where she might turn into something that we can get behind honestly, like, in earnest,
Producer lady as well, because she's been more critical of Lacey than anyone I've ever known. And even the kid that we talked about, we said it on the show once before, so I'm not saying it here, but there was a kid we took to a show who was like 10 or 11, and she came out, and he said on the way home, he's like, why is that girl just not like a stripper? I think she'd be happier. And we're like, Jesus, kid, how do you even know what that is? Like, what is going on? Like, he plays video games, I guess, but like, this is the reverse of that. This is like the showing that she wants to see be represented. And it was really funny because her first training video, she had her hair in a ponytail. And producer is like, it'd have to be in a bun. You're not allowed to have ponytails.
Right.
And then like a couple days later, an article came out that the military was going to allow women to wear their hair in a tight ponytail and not just a bun. And then she sent it to me. She goes, well, I'll be damned. And I was like, the power of Lacey. Yeah, I'll do it. Let's see. Raw takes place. It opens up with the Bloodline, the Usos. I think it's so fucking funny that on Raw 30 they're gonna have an acknowledgement ceremony. Like, it's not a championship thing. It's not like, it's just, I almost want it to be just his entrance, just saying acknowledge me, confetti falls down, and then he just leaves. Like, and that's it. Like, nothing.
Yeah, kind of like Flair's birthday party. Like it's 30 minutes of everyone coming out and Roman's on the big screen, and that's it. Like, Roman doesn't even come out. Right.
He Skypes in.
Yeah.
Remember when they had that interview with Stone Cold via Skype, and it was Skype sponsored, and it was over the thing, and it was like,
yeah.
And it was also not like a great connection.
Yeah. I know it was right before the Thunderdome, right?
It wasn't before the Thunderdome. It was just a thing.
Yeah, they were trying to get more people at Raw and shit, or some shit like that. Yeah.
Well, and they just had Skype was the sponsor, so like we'll Skype someone in under the big dome, and then they did, and it was like not that great.
I think it's gonna be a great.
Yeah.
These two competitors are.
Skype's watching it, going like, "This is perfect. It's exactly like we have it. Like, this is by design. Like, it couldn't have gone better."
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed. Raw 30 is going to be in Philly, and I got to go out of town for work, so I'm not going to be like in the area to even attend.
Oh, dude,
Which is cool though, because if I was in the area and could afford it and didn't go, I'd be pissed if something really dope happens. But the fact that I'm be out of town for work, like that's cool. I'll be all right with that.
Yeah, but something dope's gonna happen.
Yeah, but that's fine. I it's not like I could have made it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I would have been forced to give up the tickets and not be able to go.
Yeah, that's true.
Like there's no getting out of what I have to do on Monday. So
yeah.
But no, Raw 30 is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, man. Well, I was about to say something, but we'll get there. So, yeah, Street Champ, Usos, Mustafa Ali comes flying out. Let's see, wasn't there
the Reyes Solos? The Reyes Solos stare down.
Yeah, that's so fucking ridiculous, dude. Dude, first off, because it's been a couple weeks, you see what they're doing with Dom.
It's amazing.
It's what I said.
Yeah.
You were so right or so wrong. You got so worked, dude. You were so mad at Dom. You said you cannot say that shit when you go through.
No.
I turned that into his entire character.
I'm not disagreeing. No, I get it. I absolutely get it. What I said was that it bothered me because in real life I know how this works. Like that's why I bothered. I was like, oh, I'm like, fuck. I'm not mad at the character at all. Dom is fucking incredible. We've been saying that for months, how incredible Dom is. And I love the fact that this is where they're taking it. I cringed in the beginning because, like, you just can't do that. Like, you literally just can't do that. But when he went on Miz TV the week after we talked, I was like, man, this is fucking amazing. He calls him out for wearing a fucking $500 off-white shirt. He fucking calls him out for spending a couple hours. And it's like,
so good. I like
my
this one
celly,
too.
And I told him, you want to punch me in the face? It's fucking. He didn't have a celly. Shut the fuck up. It's amazing. It's fucking outstanding. Because I'll tell you this: the reason why it's outstanding. He's not breaking character. He's not doing it to be funny. He truly, truly believes the words coming out of his mouth, and he's fucking nailing it. So bravo, Dom.
Good.
Bravo.
Dude, my favorite part is watching all of Judgment Day around him just fucking try to keep it together. Because you can see them do things to try to like let off a little steam here and there because they are, especially like Finn. He cannot fucking believe how fucking funny this is.
Oh yeah, and that's when you notice because that's when Finn chimes in and goes, "Don't worry, Dom, we got your back." And it's like you guys are feeding into this. Oh my god! and at first it makes them look like fools because they know this is a lie, but they're feeding into it. You know what I mean? It's like, well, no, this is the bravado that we need. Like they're allowing Dom to grow into his own. That's why they're supporting him. You know what I mean?
So fucking good, dude. It's so
and every
good.
time Priest talks, I'm like, but he's the motherfucker that would have went to jail. Like that's the guy who knows the truth. He's the one that would be telling Dom, dude, Dom, stop. But no, they're allowing Dom to do this because Dom needs this.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
Tell him about the time. Tell him about the time. It's like, Jesus Christ. He said, when I was pumping iron in the yard. It's like, wait a second. Did you put weights in your backyard? Like,
yeah.
It's like you weren't even there long enough to have a yard to play.
You wouldn't have had a yard time. It wouldn't happen. There's no yard on intake. Blue Boyd says, producer lady dying at the Usos saying Vatos. Yeah, when the Usos cut their promo back on him, and they started just ripping and going to the whole Spanish thing and everything.
Oh yeah,
we were just dying.
They killed it.
Dom sitting there being like, "You guys wouldn't last a second."
The Usos are perfect. Man. The Usos are fucking perfect. How do they? Yeah. This is why the Usos are the greatest tag team of all time. Number one, they're the best wrestlers in tag team history, like as in wrestling. But the way that they shit on Dom, but also allowed his character to maintain credibility by mocking it, but also not calling him fake, not calling him, a fuckboy or anything like that. It basically like, oh, this is who you are? We're going to mock you because you're going to go all Conan and shit now? Like, it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, no, there's like you said, he needs this.
Yeah,
like if Dom doesn't have this, Dom's not gonna fight. You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing. Grim Reaper comes in. Hi.
Hi.
I wonder if he'll be here for the double header, man. It's got confirmation on the time we're doing the next one. It's gonna be a long day. So
Nice.
But yeah, dude, everything they're doing with Dom is perfect. And it's exactly like I said. As soon as you said like you were so mad at it, and I was like, that's why I loved it. Because as soon as he said it, I was just smiling like, you fucking stupid son of a bitch. And it's played into so well. Grimmer says Paul Heyman has made everyone in the bloodline better with their promos and mannerisms in the ring, especially the Usos. Really? I feel like the Usos.
No. Usos.
I know. I was about to say I feel like the Usos are the most untouched as far as their promo work now versus before. As far as differences, they're the closest to that they've always been. But I will say that some of their real serious moments are better than they've ever been.
Like which one are you? And
yeah. And that could be Paul helping them dig into a little bit of like, hey, you're not just badasses, you're not just tough guys, you're not just cool guys, but you're also you get it right here sometimes. You know what I mean?
No, well, definitely. And honestly, we can say the same thing about Roman too, right? Everyone in the bloodline has always had the tools. The refinement on everyone has been, I mean, they're damn near untouchable. We're what, 600 days later or 700 days later, and no one, like, I mean, a lot of people care, but like, it's not stale. That's the thing. Like everyone's character is like at 100 in the video game right now. There's nothing you can do. So they've also been able to raise the people around them. And then someone like Solo is flourishing. And I know how much respect we all have for Sammy, but Sammy has never been more important than he is now. And shown the growth and depth of who he is on full display. And why is he credible? Sammy, who honestly, all due respect, never seen him as a title contender before with the option of winning, maybe like rising through the ranks, get his shot. Oh man, just came short. I see title for, 200 days. Sure. But now him in a world title feud. Yeah. So I mean, I can see how Paul Heyman will get a lot of credit for that. The refinement.
Yeah. It's just amazing, dude. There was the stare down, Solo and Rhea. What's so weird about that is I'm like, what do we all want to happen here? Because like it's a cool shot and Rhea's smiling because she's like, you won't do it. But there's a part where it's like, I don't know. I don't know what you want to happen here. You know what I mean? Like, what are we teasing? Where are we going? And like, is it just a cool thing they did one time to make everyone look crazy?
Well, that's the thing. And shouts to Justin because he says this all every week. Every week this happens on Raw, no matter who it is. He just goes, you know what? Somebody just needs to hit her. Like, it's not about condoning violence against women. It's, to your point, what are you expecting? Rhea can't just keep being a dick in everybody's face. Keep going, ha. No, somebody needs to just hit her. Kind of like when, I thought Solo was going to do it because remember when Nia went into the Royal Rumble? Dolph was like, fuck it, I'm a super kicker.
Yeah.
And the crowd went fucking nuts. When Solo took a step back, I go, oh my God, he's going to super kick her. This is going to be awesome. So there's a chance that this happens. And when it does, we're here for it because even the Tozawa match she had was fucking awesome. It was so much fun. It was done really well. But it was still done with but I'm not going to hit you aspect. And I get it. And I am that way. This short story, I've seen violence happen against women at a very young age. I'm not for it. But I also am a member of the wrestling community and can understand how I can give my trust to WWE to tell this story properly. And I know just by watching Rhea on TV and off TV, how well she can take care of herself.
Yeah.
So I'm here for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And honestly, technique for technique, Rhea versus Solo, awesome fucking match. It'd be an awesome fucking match.
I thought he was going to do the spike because the spike is not just fucking hitting her. You know what I mean? The spike is like you jab someone with your thumb in the right spot and they went down. Like it's sort of like a Charlie horse.
Right.
You know what I mean? Is someone as mad as somebody given their little sister a Charlie horse versus punching their little sister in the eye. You know what I mean?
Dude,
Like,
could you imagine?
it's just a neck Charlie horse.
He spikes her in the shoulder, right?
Yeah.
She does one of these next week, full on Cody Bruce. Just
Cody.
just Cody Bruce. Full on Cody Bruce the whole way from the Samoan spike. Playing it up like Dominic. She's got a sling and everything.
Sling, cast. Yeah. Let's see. There was one other thing about that segment, and I don't remember what it was I was going to say, but I'm just going to move on, I suppose. Dude, Mustafa Ali on Raw.
Yeah.
The last couple times I've seen him, his character's real whiny, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's the whole thing. He just whines a lot, complains until he gets something, and then fails at that thing.
Yeah, because it's not coming off with conviction. It's coming off with that annoyance. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a what about me and not I deserve this. It's not I earned this. It's that I'm entitled to this, or you should just give it to me, or you know what I mean? Like, just the tone of it all. It was just weird. Blue Bird calls him a jobber. So funny. Yeah, and he comes out and then like, so he'll get the thing, he'll pester someone enough, get the thing, and then lose. And you go, yeah, so that's why you don't get the next one. How come you got this and I didn't? Because you lost the last 3 matches you've had.
Right.
You know? Hey, I'll prove something. I don't think you will. I think you're going to prove nothing based off what your track record is, you know, from a character standpoint. So it's just weird. I don't know what we're going to do with that.
Yeah, and the Raw the week before where him and Dolph had that segment in the back where he's, you know, oh, we could have been in a tag tournament together, but you wanted to be against Solo.
Yeah.
And that, pretty much complaining about the same thing the following week. Yeah.
Yeah. He's just whiny.
Yeah.
I didn't really watch Street Profits versus Cedric and Shelton. Was there a lot going on with that? Do we think we're getting hurt business? Like, what's the point of this?
Well, that's the thing. I said it was typical, but I'm here for the hurt business. They've been teasing it all throughout Raw. I love the idea of it. I am, though, curious about the timing because Lashley's babyface tendencies are really like starting to grab the crowd. So can we have a hurt business that is babyface? Can we have a hurt business where it's not about laying down the law, it's about executing our skills to get what we deserve?
Yes.
And MVP can definitely tell that story. MVP hasn't been a babyface in a very long time. So it would just
I think
be
Shelton could tell that story too. Because that was the whole thing with the team angle or whatever.
Yeah.
It was just people trying to be exceptional.
Well, and Cedric too, right? Cedric and his whole run in 205 Live was about being the standard bearer for wrestling itself.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, so they definitely have that ability. It's the MVP part. Not that I'm worried about. It's just that I haven't seen. He's a fantastic babyface in interviews. I mean, off screen, he's a fucking phenomenal human being. So I don't doubt they have the ability. I just haven't seen it. So a babyface hurt business, I think, would be awesome, especially if they know that they're stronger together than separate, for sure.
Did you see the MVP tweet of the kid sitting next to him on the airplane?
No, I didn't.
It was like a selfie of MVP with this kid behind him, or it was just the kid with a sneaky little shot. And it said something like, on this flight back, this person was telling me about how I should stay out of prison and I wouldn't fare well there. And I look like the kind of person who wouldn't be able to handle it, and was trying to teach him to stay right, and encourage him to not get in any trouble because you don't want to see what he's seen. And he takes a picture and it's like this young, fluffy white boy, like chubby, cheeked and everything. And for a second, we're like, is he sitting next to Dom? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like a real life Dom. It was crazy.
Yeah. That's funny.
MVP and Elias. What's up? Go ahead.
Before that match, though, was another fucking Cody promo.
Yeah, dude, so good. It's gonna be so good. He's gonna come back and he's gonna like start over. It's gonna be perfect. We're gonna do it right this time. Start over, man. Just start from the beginning. Let's do it.
Yeah, dude. Did you hear Nick Khan on with Ben Simmons? Because
I saw that it happened and I heard a couple quotes, but I haven't seen that.
Yeah. I only heard the 5-minute clip that circulated Twitter. But in that is, Bill Simmons being a complete mark like he always is. So, is Cody going to take one of the titles off of Roman? And Nick Khan goes, well, it definitely seemed like it was heading that way. And I was just like, ugh, this is just what we're fucking doing. Look, Cody had 3 matches and the crowd was behind him, but I swear to fuck on everything, the crowd was behind Liv Morgan too. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to end well because it's
going to be perfect.
Okay.
Dude, you know what?
I will succumb to your sarcasm, my friends.
The Young Bucks are going to come and help him to win the match. They're going to take out the Usos.
It's weird, man. It's weird how much everybody wants this, but nobody wants Cody. Like
they don't want Cody.
When he was in AEW, there was a consistent thing about him being the worst part of AEW.
Yeah.
And then when he came to WWE, it's like, oh my God, he's coming to WWE. But like the guy who came to WWE is literally 1 match removed from being the guy you didn't want in AEW. So why is the fanfare so much higher? It's and to be honest, no offense to Seth Rollins, but that WrestleMania match was very close to every single match I saw him do in AEW without razor blades and fire. So
yeah,
it's the same fucking guy. Like don't tell me
you really
he's
not
ready.
Know the difference?
Well, that they don't tell me he's ready for Roman when he was the worst part of AEW. The worst part of AEW is not ready for Roman because the best part of AEW isn't ready for Gunther. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's what made him not work in AEW was that he didn't belong in AEW. He was on a different level than everyone in AEW. It wasn't what they wanted AEW to be. People wanted that schlubby, shitty product to be schlubbier and shittier, and he was super refined. He was putting on the best wrestling matches on the card, and people didn't want it. They wanted flips. I mean, like the backlash against him was he didn't fit. It was literally like the reason people were excited was like, yes, pluck that motherfucker out of there. He's ruining our backyard show, and put that shiny golden boy back with all the other shiny golden toys. Like
I don't
he just
disagree,
fits there better.
But his cut and paste WWE the way that they cut and paste AEW, he has the same timing and succinctness as AEW with a WWE style. So
Yeah.
his moveset still doesn't mesh with WWE because his timing isn't fluidity. His timing is YouTube clips. So these matches that he had with Seth Rollins are YouTube clip matches. They're not stories that you can't clip.
Yeah, but check out all the
that
clips
needs
they
to
made.
change.
But they made a shitload of clips. Like, because week after week of clips.
Well, because they're smarter than me. They're smarter than me because they know how WWE knows how to make clips. Okay,
Yeah.
But they can make clips of that because Cody allows clips to happen.
Yeah.
Because that's how his matches are set up. They're just with WWE style moves.
Oh yeah, it's great, dude. He's gonna be the champion. He'll probably beat The Rock.
That's fine. Might as well. If you're gonna do one, you might as well do them all.
Get him all. He'll beat Paul Heyman too. He'll do it.
I think it should be Cody versus the Bloodline, and then Cody just wins.
Yeah.
Elimination Chamber. Cody starts
Elimination
first.
Yeah.
They're in the pods. Usos come out as one. Sammy comes out as one. Fucking Solo comes out as one. Roman comes out as one at the end, and he just beats them all.
And Paul Heyman comes out as one.
Paul Heyman, he starts with.
He starts with Paul Heyman. Almost and Elias. It was cool to see Almost back. I like his new look. The gear looked cool.
His moveset was a bit different too. His moveset seemed to. It felt different. Yeah.
Not a lot to say about the whole thing. I didn't hate the match. I thought it was fine. I just, the tough part is when you start to really like all the performers. It's tough to see them in certain positions and to see and be excited for Elias to come back and know what he's capable of and still see him kind of floating in this way is a bummer because you go like, yeah, I want to be excited for Almost, but I more feel bad for Elias.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you give him Mustafa Ali or something? Like give him some jobber who comes out and whines, like in my mind. But like at the same time, Elias is good, dude. He's super good. So I'm hoping we get something with him down the line.
Yeah, I've always been a fan.
So we get the promo of the year.
Yes.
Becky and Bayley face to face. I actually fucking loved it. I actually thought it was a great promo. I loved the way that even they started putting 4 horsewomen into the lore because they've never quite said it outright. You know what I mean? 3 of the 4 horsewomen came up and you left me behind. Like, to just verbalize the idea that Bailey's, the reason she's formed a group and has a chip on her shoulder is because she was left behind. And even when she came up, she was never quite side by side. She never teamed with any of them. She never quite fit in the same way. She was always shown different, even with the Sasha Bailey tag teams up until the Golden Role Models. Like, remember, Bailey turned on Sasha because there was the constant Sasha feeling better than Bailey.
Yeah.
And it was that snap, and she's like, you ain't shit. But
I know you're fuck it. I thought Bailey has struggled the last couple weeks really nailing down her side of the promos. But because she has the passion in her to be a part of the story, I know she's committed to getting better.
Yep.
When she said that you left me behind promo, or a part of the promo, and because of the horsewomen, Charlotte would have said, because you weren't good enough to be up here with us.
Yeah. And
Becky said, because they needed you to stay behind to basically groom the rest of the division for the future.
Yeah.
That's what,
and to be a champion.
Yeah. Promo 101, Paul Heyman style, is I will never say that you suck, because if you suck and I beat you, what does that make me?
Yeah.
Becky said, Bailey, you stayed back to be champion, to groom the next generation of who we need. That's why you didn't come up. I had to earn myself to be champion. I didn't stay back to be champion. And then showed why. Becky even said, I wasn't good enough to be up in front of you. Is basically what she said. That I wasn't good enough. And I had to show you. I had to show the world that I was good enough to be up here. I had to prove myself that I was good enough to be champion. It's just fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Becky's the best. She is the GOAT on top of the mountain for sure.
Yeah. And this is like my dream scenario, this whole thing. Here's in the chat says this isn't the normal show on this day. That's correct. This is yesterday's show today. But the normal show today will still happen today. It's going to happen in about an hour and 45 minutes. So you can always come back.
Bear with us for a little bit longer, Carl. No worries.
It'll be a short intermission.
I'll be out of here in just a little bit.
It'll be a short intermission. There'll be nachos, drinks at the counter, pretzels, complimentary. But yeah, this is like a dream scenario for me. The Bailey and Becky's back and forth, like. I just want to tweet at them and be like, just in case you guys didn't know, I'm pretending you've all dedicated every single one of these segments to me specifically.
It'll be cool. It'll be cool if we get like a 3-match run and we get to see them Rumble, Fastlane, and Mania. That would be just the best.
That'd be great. I only think it's weird to do a cage match on next Monday.
Yeah.
You got Raw 30, and I get it. It's Philadelphia. You want to do some extreme matches. So you got the old solid steel cage match. But I like, it's almost like a letdown to not give it to me on a bigger platform. You know what I mean? Like, for me, I've been anticipating it for fucking years. And then to get to it and be all like, it's on a Raw? You know what I mean? Like, you might cut to commercial? Like, I don't want a cut to commercial. Let me see here. Let me hit up a couple things in the chat. Stuff's happening. As a side note to derail the show, because you can always derail our show right here in episode 1 of the Dive Bar of the IWC. It says, do you want Deonna Purrazzo in the Rumble? I think a lot of people would like that.
Yeah.
Is what I'll say.
Yeah.
I
remember seeing her when I real quick, because I know you're taking her.
Yeah, which is fine. But
when I first got back into wrestling, I saw Deonna Purrazzo in NXT. I saw Rachel Ellering in NXT, and they were quickly gone. And I go, you know what? They kind of have something. And then when I saw them outside of WWE afterwards, it never changed. Had they stayed 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and continued to groom, I can see how great they could be, because they have it.
Yeah.
You know, they do have the technical of how to do it, but there is something missing. So would I be blown away? No. Would I like to see Deonna Purrazzo in WWE? Yeah, I think she has something for sure. For sure. Yeah. I think she has something that WWE can use for sure.
I think so, and I think that for the rumors, whatever, innuendo, whatever is out there, I think that the overall consensus, the only reason she didn't quite work out was that she was difficult to coach. She didn't take to coaching very well.
Yeah.
And I think if she were to be slightly more humble and coachable, then I think she could be a huge part of that division. Absolutely. Like you said, there's a whole bunch there. Kiro said a bunch of stuff about Jay Briscoe, people spoiling the Celebration of Life show. I also heard that they wanted to have like an actual like tribute video and not just like the little thing up there, and that Warner Brothers shut them down, said they wouldn't allow a thing. So,
well, I'm glad you
what
said
they're
that
saying.
because I saw that too, and that was supposedly per Dave Meltzer. And when Dave Meltzer had tweeted about Jay Briscoe, his initial tweet of the loss of life included the wrong location. He put it in Laurel, Maryland, not Laurel, Delaware. And it's been my most touched upon tweet in the IWC with more likes than negative comments because everyone who commented said something negative, but there's way more likes on it. And I basically just said to Dave, this is why you're a detriment to the IWC, because in even the most serious moments, you don't take the time to get all your facts correct.
Yeah.
Yes, it's small. The states are next to each other. Delaware is right next to Maryland. But it's also not true what you are saying.
Yes.
And it's been the consistency of this gentleman for years to not put out the entire truth. And he stands behind his incredible statue of misinformation by saying that this changed or that wasn't the original plan or what have you. Bottom line is he doesn't do the work to present all the information.
Yeah.
Whenever I said something, because there's a group chat that I'm in on Twitter, it's just, retweet our podcast group. I'm in Delaware. The accident was 45 minutes from me. I waited for the Delaware State Police to issue their report before I said anything about it because they're the ones that know. Like, yes, the family knows, but like publicly, they're the ones that know.
Mm-hmm.
And if the state police hasn't finished their investigation, then nobody knows shit, man. Like, unfortunately, some asshole put out there that word is that his wife was involved had passed away as well. She wasn't even in the car.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing? Put out the right information. And Dave is the beginning of all of it. That's why I'm saying this. And that's why I said it then. There's people coming at me. It's the wrong time. Mind your business. You got a fucked up podcast, whatever they wanted to say about me. I didn't look at any of it for the sake of, if somebody said something positive, I was willing to say something. Well, once I saw like 2 or 3 things were just negative comments, I said, fuck it. But I had to say something to Dave, and I doubt he saw it because whatever. But like, this is the time where you wait 5 fucking seconds and you get your facts right.
Yeah, you're more inclined to be the first one to say a thing than to be the first one to be right or to be accurate in something that's that serious. I'd rather a dozen people tweet out before me that something happened than to be. I mean, you ever watch that show Newsroom?
A while ago, yeah.
There's a whole episode about that, about how there was a bunch of stuff breaking about this crazy traumatic event, and a bunch of people were starting to report stuff, and the head of the news thing was saying we need to get on air with this stuff, and the head of it was saying I can't confirm it. And it was this whole episode about how important it is to get the facts straight before you just go reporting. And it was about how so many things got escalated. People end up getting attacked in this thing because it's TV. You got to escalate things a little bit, right? And then at the end of the day, those reports were wrong, and they were the first news agency to report on it and be correct. And that's what made them the kind of news agency you could get behind and trust, because it wasn't about being the first. It's not about being the loudest. It's about being the most correct. And that's how you build longevity, except Dave's done the opposite. He's just been the loudest and the most double talky to be able to convince people that he's right enough,
Yeah, 1,000%. 1,000%. And that's, again, why it's so important to
Kiro says Bishop
yeah,
had the same take on the initial report, basically, as I did about Celebration of Life show.
Yeah, it's just it's all sad. It's all sad, and it's terrible that people don't care enough. They, like you said, they want to be there. They don't care about being right.
Yeah, absolutely. They just want to be the one that you go to, and they don't care if you're right, and you don't care if they're right either, and that's what's sick. That's the sick part, is the amount of people who are wrong all the time and still get people going like, yeah, but they're right most of the time. No, I want someone who's just right all the time, who just doesn't make up shit and doesn't get out too early and just does it right. Just be right all the time. There's nothing you either have good sources or you don't. You either do your due diligence or you don't. That's it.
He blocked me. Meltzer blocked me.
Yeah. Because you called him on it. He does that with everybody. Anytime anyone's ever contested him, he blocks.
Because I just went back to look at it, and it only has 3 likes now.
Yeah.
But my mentions area had 60 something likes.
Yeah.
And I only had 4 responses. But now there's no responses because after the block, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Well, because people were getting it because it went through his timeline.
Yeah, exactly. So instead of acknowledging that you are a detriment to the business by not getting your facts correct, you just block people for right. Yeah, apologize. Say you're sorry.
Yeah, be like, you know what? I should have taken an extra minute on that one. I'll be better. I'll do better. But nope, he just goes, "Oh, fuck that guy." Because that's how a good journalist is. That's what a good journalist would do.
Cheers, Kuro, for not having terrible takes. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Let me see. So yeah, we got Bailey, Becky. I'm excited about it. Couldn't be more excited about it. I'm going to be thrilled to see it, but I wish it was a Mania or some shit. But it makes me think we might be building something even bigger if they're willing to do this on Monday. Judgment Day and Alpha Academy. I only kind of watched this. They're good. They're all good, but I can't imagine Alpha Academy would win, right?
No, they didn't. But it's the babyface turn for Alpha Academy. It's the second week in a row that their Otis did the Caterpillar. Okay. So we're gearing towards that. And honestly, Gable's still getting his shoes in and the thank you.
Yeah,
but he's doing it charmingly, not as much of a dick. So
good.
Yeah, and being able to, and that's to your point of so good, being able to maintain character and essence. So not having to change completely to go babyface is awesome.
Yeah. Io Sky versus Mia Yim, I thought was really weird because it seemed like their focus was on Candice LeRae.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a big fan of that.
Yeah. Because even afterwards, Candice has to be the one to raise the hand and shit.
Yep. Candice had her music play before Mia even made it to the ring. I think we saw more of Candice's intro than we saw of Mia's. I just didn't like the idea that they're bringing out Mia to be second fiddle to Candice during a time where we're still trying to figure out who Mia is, what she's doing. We're still
especially since they pulled her away from the OC.
Yeah, which I don't think she'll be permanently away from them. I think it has to do with the injury for AJ.
I don't disagree.
But at the same time, they're just trying to give her something to do. So I don't mind her having matches and have random matches with random people. That's cool. I don't care. Like the EO match, cool. But
the Bailey match from the week before, yeah.
But the focus on Candice, not a fan.
Yeah, no, and that's to your point because even when Candice was out there, commentary wasn't explaining their illustrious friendship. They were doing the match plus, it might have been the Bailey match where they go, well, and you'll see why, you'll see in Mi Chin what the OC saw in her, not why her and Candice are friends, so it's definitely odd.
Yeah. So, the Alexa Bliss Bianca thing we talked about. Bronson Reed versus Akira Tozawa. It was just cool to see Bronson doing this Bronson stuff, getting that out. And then them creating a distance between Bronson and Miz already. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Was a great way to do it with that promo the week before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't like you. I don't know you, but if you pay me, I'll beat someone up. Hired hitman.
Right.
All right.
And again, he doesn't feel gratuitous. He doesn't feel like they're trying to Braun Strowman this with 3 jobbers, give him the Akira Tozawa match. It was a fun match. Tozawa was great. And you got to see a lot of Bronson Reed. So, and what he's capable of. Yeah, I'm cool with it. And he translates too. He's another one he's a big dude, but he's not he's not a super heavyweight, but he's a big dude. But he looks good on the main roster, so that's good.
Yeah. He looks great there, and the Tsunami looks so fucking good every time.
Yeah.
I flinch, dude. I cringe. I'm like, fuck. He's a beast.
Yeah.
Absolute beast.
Yeah.
And then there was the main event, the elimination match with a whole bunch of people: Seth Rollins, Bobby, Baron, Finn, Miz, Dolph, with Austin Theory on commentary, all leading up to Bobby Lashley getting the win. So he's going to go for the United States title against Austin Theory, I believe, on Raw 30.
Yep.
I mean, I just thought it was a good match. I don't know what to say about it. Like,
yeah, it was laid out well.
Like,
no, not really. I mean, it was laid out well. The way the eliminations happened within the match, they all made sense. So
yeah,
it's not like there was something fucked up. But that's the thing. Like we get lost in so many things that when we get something executed really well, you just go, well, fucking right. We ended Raw on a good note. Let's go.
Yeah. Damn right.
Yeah. There's only one thing that stood out, and it was Austin Theory on commentary. He said, "Look at all these guys. I feel like I grew up watching them." And Baron Corbin was the only one he didn't grow up watching.
So that's crazy. Seth Rollins, Lashley, Balor, Miz, Dolph. Yeah, dude, they're all fucking 15 years in, 20 years. Like,
did you see the
crazy?
The tweet that came out said, Miz and Dolph have wrestled each other at least once every year from 2009 to this year, to 2023. So at least once a year for the last 15 years. How awesome is that?
They better be comfortable with each other in there.
I mean, that was the story that really sold me on the Miz, was the two of them going after each other.
It was a story that sold me on Dolph.
That's fair too.
Really? Like the IC title thing with the if I can't get the title, I'm gonna retire.
Yeah.
Dude, I was behind Dolph. I was into him. I was like, fuck yeah. Like that was one that I bought in, yeah.
Well, that's to the same feud made me realize that Miz wasn't just there because he wanted to be a wrestler. It was Miz is a wrestler.
Yeah.
He was no longer the real world guy to me. He was like, no, this is who Mike Mizanin is. He isn't the real world guy that became a wrestler. He was a wrestler who hadn't made it yet. But he's a fucking wrestler. That's what that feud meant to me, for sure.
Yeah. He's a legit wrestling. Like he dreamed of his whole life globally. Yeah, this was just one where you watch it and you go, look, these types of matches are really difficult when you have 6 guys in elimination chamber match, and this is the kind of one you could have shown to somebody and said, look, this is how you can actually map it out and make it not look like a weird clusterfuck kind of match. Yeah,
man.
So yeah, I don't have a ton to say about it. It was just executed great, and if you didn't watch it and you want to see what a well executed 6-man match looks like, that's the one. It's the one to do. So
yeah. It was funny. Who was it? I think it might have been Finn Balor. They were talking about the next match. He's like, "Oh, what, the 6-pack challenge?" I thought he was going to lift his shirt up and go, challenge one. Like,
yeah.
Because the way he was talking about, because he kept saying 6-pack challenge. I'm like, is this motherfucker just going to lift his shirt up and say, I got 8 packs,
Yeah.
But no, other than
that. Anything else on Raw that you thought we missed over the past couple weeks?
Unfortunately, as I was rewatching the last Raw that happened is when the news broke about Jay, so I didn't continue taking notes.
Okay.
So we pretty much hit on everything. And it's not unfortunate that he disrupted my notes. It's just the timing of it, kind of took me away from, fully dedicating myself. But no, I think we nailed it. I think, to be honest, the way that they threaded every show with that whole, over the top rope, he'd be eliminated by now, or she'd be eliminated by now. I think they've done a good job explaining what feuds we may see when it comes to the Rumble. Like, yes, Top Dollar and Ricochet were in a winner gets into the Rumble, but do I think Top Dollar is going to be in there and fuck with Ricochet? I do, because it's pro wrestling.
Yeah. It's going to be good. I hope that they do like Top Dollar tries to like dive at Ricochet or something and Ricochet gets him over.
Yeah.
Does like some crazy big power move, gets underneath him and scoops him up and over.
Right.
You know, that'd be so sick. Because Ricochet's strong, dude. He's small, but he's a beast. And he's put on a lot of weight.
Yeah.
He's a lot bigger than he was just a couple years ago. So, but yeah, I think that's it. I think I think we've got to mop these floors and get ready for the next dive bar. Good call on Blue Boy. Congrats on to him and Samantha. They got engaged. Samantha Irvine and Ricochet.
In
as
the presence of Carrot Top.
Yep, in the presence of Carrot Top.
I saw your tweet and I was like, fucker, I noticed the same thing.
Yeah, I kept looking at it. I was all like, God damn, dude, you did it in front of Carrot Top like that? Like, it's fucking Carrot Top. Like,
dude, he has to officiate the wedding. How awesome would that be?
Get him involved.
He was the only one there, you know, when he proposed. Carrot Top was a witness. Then
and he's like,
be a witness. Yeah,
he's like pointing with a weird face. Like, that's a prop I can get behind. So good. But yeah, congrats to them. Probably going to run through a bunch of birthdays in a little bit. We're going to talk CWF, United Wrestling here live in Tempe. We went to it. I'm going to regale you with stories about Quackle, Eddie Kingston, Ortiz. It was good, dude. They did a whole on Rumble. There's a guy there named Fatboy. Going to talk about it. And we're going to talk, unfortunately, a little bit about AEW and NXT as well.
Speaking of Ortiz, are they like done with AEW? And can they come to him and Santana? Or like, are they on the fucking we don't get along shit? Or are they going to come to WWE and face the Usos?
They don't get along. It has nothing to do with them with AEW. They don't get along anymore. Santana and Ortiz is split up. Conan's talked about it on his own podcast.
Oh, really?
He thinks it's a real shame that they had a big falling out. So it is what it is, man. What are you gonna do? So
that sucks. You know, they probably should have went to WWE instead of AEW.
You know, I wonder if that would have done it or not. Like, it's because you think about that stuff and the timing of it all, and like, yeah, I heard that too, I was kind of like, huh. I wonder if that would have happened anyways. You know what I mean? Because that stuff's true too sometimes. But
no,
I did wonder
absolutely. That. It's just my personal opinion. Again, this is my AEW WWE beef. The infrastructure itself lends for a positive work environment, potentially. You know, without having like. I used to say this at different jobs where I was a manager. Like, people love being told what to do. Mm-hmm. Like, we as a species need someone to let us know what to do. Because if not, we'll get lost. Like, yes, okay, you want all the creative freedom in the world. You don't want to be tied down to a job? Okay, guess what? What are you going to do now? And then after fucking 5 hours of playing video games and not taking a shower, you're going to smell like shit. And you're going to go, well, I guess I need something to do now. And then you'll get on a schedule and then you'll get lost because no one else is telling you what to do. We crave structure. And the fact that AEW doesn't have the WWE structure but wants to present the big scale, so many things get lost in the weeds. So I agree with you. There is a chance because people are people and people are messed up. Anything could have happened between the two of them. But had they had a structured creative direction where maybe they would have been presented on a way where they had this mutual appreciation for each other's efforts and taking care of each other and going towards the next level of whatever creative freedom they could have had within the system. You never know. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder. Well, we'll be back in just a short intermission with Miss Amanda Jane here for the Thursday Night Chaser. This has been a Thursday afternoon happy hour. It's not really afternoon either, but it's going to be more night then than now. So,
you know what? The noon was before we started. Therefore, right now, it's afternoon happened. Therefore, afternoon.
Yeah. If you want to come back here to the dive bar of the AWC for more semantics, we will always be here.
I want my birthday shout out, Amanda. That was last week.
Yeah, she didn't get
111. I want my birthday shout out.
That's Bishop from at TW Takes Podcast. I'm at Ref Marsh. We are at WOTR the show, and this has been an episode. We're not getting to two. I gotta write that shit down. This is episode 1 global. I'm gonna put it on a global. We'll be back.
Pin it on the map. Pit this one on the map.
I'm gonna pit
We
it
are
on the
global.
map. I've always wanted to be a wrestling. This is Wrestler on the Rocks. No, it's
At TW Takes Podcast. Follow me. I am blocked by Dave Meltzer, so fuck off.
hell yeah, dude. Yeah. We should go.
Do you want to
see
wipe
if
our
Conrad-
cheeks at the same time again? We just did the same fucking thing at the same time.
We should see if Conrad's still selling the fuck Dave Meltzer shirts. We'll get a couple. So
You would not. I don't know.
guys, we'll be back in just a couple hours right here in the dive bar of the AWC for brand new episode 1 as last call.
Cheers.
Hey, producer lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support us or buy us a drink by following and putting the I in subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink with wrestling on the rocks.